Well, would you look at that? They both don't fit in my camera frame. Well, we'll take a look at those shortly. Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is AshQuest, and today I'm very excited to show you UnderQuest. UnderQuest is the newest and flagship dungeon crawler game from the GameCrafter veteran Grey Gnome Games, and is a dark world of treacherous adventure. Now, if you have played the previous big Grey Gnome Games production, Iron Helm, which is absolutely legendary, then you are probably a bit informed of the theme, the mechanics, the world building, the style of play, and the difficulty of UnderQuest. It's not just Iron Helm that has informed UnderQuest's development, though. Jason Glover at Grey Gnome Games, indeed, the person who is Grey Gnome Games, has mentioned this is sort of a combination of Iron Helm and Tin Realm. And if you know what separates Tin Realm from Tin Helm, you'll probably know immediately what this track on this mat is for. This is going to be an awesome and excellent dungeon crawling adventure. And it's absolutely chock full of amazing hand-drawn art, because Jason Glover is a very talented artist. UnderQuest, journey into a strange and perilous world full of danger and wondrous encounters. UnderQuest contains all the elements of a great dungeon crawl adventure, including simple yet customizable character creation system, tense press your luck exploration mechanics, quest system that creates a narrative arc, challenging random encounters, a potion crafting system. Characters gain experience and new skills, lots of treasures, ingredients, and trinkets to discover, many terrifying enemies to battle. Combat hunger, health, poison, and curses. Trade with merchants, find companions to join your party, learn powerful incantations, and battle a final boss. UnderQuest was designed to make each adventure a unique solo experience, so grip your shield in hand and ready your sword, because your adventure awaits. Before we really open this box, I want to show you these mats, because I went pretty much all in on this particular crowdfund, which you can definitely get this game, not on crowd sale. You can go and get it now, the GameCrafter, but you will have to wait for it to be made. These are handmade, or I guess I should say made to order games at the GameCrafter. So we have spots on our gameplay mat for all of the different decks that are included with this. Rewards, treasure, ingredients, trinkets, encounters, enemies, abominations, and scourges are just a few. We've got spaces for all of our gameplay tokens, as well as dungeon doors, which this is going to be where our dungeon decks go. I don't know yet if we have gameplay opportunities for the giant bug and flaming skull behind the doors. I do kind of wish, although I do love the color palettes and the art style, the stippling, and everything else that Grey Gnome uses. Oh, and if you look very, very closely and carefully, you can see the myriad of skulls, just the catacomb of skulls in the background of this black strip. I just do wish it was blacker. I want it to be a darker black. I want the colors to be a little bit more juicy. I want a little bit more contrast. They seem like they've been out in the sun for a while, but that may be entirely intentional as well. That is the gameplay mat. This is the player mat. I needed to have this as well. I mean, it was my best opportunity to get it. And I say this as somebody who doesn't usually go in for the gameplay mats, but I actually spent a few weeks playing through a campaign in Iron Helm, just dungeon after dungeon after dungeon, and after a while, I began to find myself wishing I had gotten the player mat. So that's now on my list to get. Your player mat here. Time was your real enemy. You have failed your quest. Quests 1, trappings, skills, companion, familiar, class, race. We have a spot for more tokens, and we have the way that we can equip our character with their loadout: skills, helmet, incantations, body armor, offhand, and main hand. I recognize health and energy and poison. This is probably curses if this is gold. I'm not sure about this, but this is rations. Maybe this is grit. Anyway, I could be entirely wrong. I did follow somewhat the development of this game through the blogs that were posted on Grey Gnome Games' website, but it's been some time since I noticed anything other than, hey, the game is ready to be supported, and buy it now. Okay, lifting up the lid, we have a lovely box size. We are assaulted with several Ziploc style bags that are meant to help you separate all of your decks and everything in this box, and this box is absolutely packed. I actually went through and rebagged some of these decks after separating them, because at the Game Crafter, they create the game that you buy, but they will not sort the cards into their respective decks. If I had to guess, they probably collect the cards from the slag after they've been cut, and they're just busy taking them all off of their sheet. They're not concerned with sortation, and they don't advertise that they provide this service, so it's all fair, it's fine. We have our tokens, which, thanks to a much improved process at the Game Crafter, do not smell smoky. They don't leave any kind of smoke residue from their new cutting process, so the tokens are of a much higher quality this time around. I guess I shouldn't say it's a higher quality just because their cutting method is different. It could be the exact same quality, but their manufacturing technique is of a higher quality, in my opinion. That counts. Now, I made mention of these spots on the map being gameplay tokens. If you are familiar with Ten Realm, you will immediately know what I'm talking about when I say that these are actually the symbols that are on the edges of the gameplay cards, your event cards. These are the symbols that you'll have to match up. We'll get into that here shortly. Now, this is primarily going to be a surface level unboxing. We're going to look at all the components. We'll read a few pages of the included literature. We're not going to be doing any gameplay today. No in-depth how to play tutorials, none of that. Skulls, rations, warm beating blood carrying organs, skulls, part 2, potion, tree, rock, gold coin. There are only 10. Organs in denominations of 5. I have very high praise for Tin Helm, Tin Realm, and Iron Helm. Tin Helm because it's very breezy. It's very easy to sit down and play quickly, and it gives you that dungeon crawl feel. You definitely have that itch scratched, or at least I do when I play Tin Helm. Tin Realm is impossibly hard. The only way to get through that is to complete a Tin Helm scenario and bring a powered up character into it. In my opinion, it's very difficult. And here's all the cardboard slag that we no longer need to keep. It frees up a lot of real estate in the box. We get plenty of dice and counters. You don't just roll dice in the other games. Sometimes you use them just to track the wounds on a specific character. The colored cubes are going to come in very handy. So there are definitely different ways to enjoy this experience. By default, the game comes with these beautiful postcards, which arrange to form this wonderful illustration of a dubious warrior about to enter a dubious castle or dungeon of some kind, a dubious pigman watching from a safe distance. And that's pretty common fare for these games, because on the opposite side we have our gameplay trackers for the character. We've got our health with spots for agility, brawn, and mind, and we have our grit. Okay, so it looks like grit is going to replace what I was thinking was energy. Maybe, if the color coding has anything to say about it. We've also got spots for rations, gold, poison, and curses. And you will use an appropriately colored cube to track each one of these things. Being able to have 34 health is crazy to me. That is going to be wild. We've got another section here, which looks like it could be resistances. I don't know yet. They only go from 1 to 6, but we have what look like differing elements. But then again, this shield is not really an element. Could be defense. These could be defense against different elements or magic types. We'll get clarification here in just a bit, but I like speculating on contents in games before I really dig into what they are. We have encumbrance in this game, and it's very, very simple to manage. You get a new thing, you add to your encumbrance. If you get a thing that's going to make your encumbrance go over the limit, then you can't have that thing, or you're going to have to take another thing and drop it. At least that's more or less how it worked in Iron Helm. We have a morality tracker. This one goes a bit further out than the previous game's morality tracker. And when I say previous game, obviously, I mean Iron Helm. I don't mean to draw so many parallels to the previous game. This game is going to stand on its own. You don't have to have enjoyed Iron Helm to play this at all. This can be your introduction to Grey Gnome games. This might be the only one that you play. This might be the only one that you like. I like everything that I've played from Grey Gnome games because he's a brilliant designer. But the morality tracker will definitely be used as you are playing, because there are some situations where you can only participate in an event if you have a certain morality, different things. Our fourth and final card gives us experience from 1 to 14 and enemy health. And oh, no, it looks like the enemies can also have 34 health. I don't like that. Now, I did say there were numerous ways to enjoy this game, and what I meant by that was part of the crowd sale, and one of the things that you can get is a pad of character sheets. Heck yeah, double-sided character sheets, and you can go at this old school style. Now you can track your health points using pencil instead of cubes, and your poison. Grit, rations, gold, curses. May interest you to know the poison counter here, seemingly not having any numbers around it and being opposite of the health tracker, is for good reason. If this works the same way it does in Ironhelm, when you get poisoned, you'll place a poison tracker nearest to the symbol at the very end of your health. In this case, if your max health is 34. If your max health is 20, then the poison counter will probably go on to 20. But anyways, if you are poisoned again, or you meet a condition where this poison has to increase, then it will simply continue up the tracker. And if your health ever meets the poison tracker, you die. I'm kind of going the opposite direction. I was looking at the poison symbol over here. You wouldn't put this at the top of your health and drive it down. You'd put it at the bottom and drive it up while your health comes down. Looks like we have slots for equipment, primary hand, offhand, body, head, and accessories. You can list your spells and skills here and your special ability. Before we get to looking at the cards and the rulebook, I wanted to show you the opposite side of these full artwork cards, which again are just so damn nice. Are two identical sets of hardcore modes. Are you looking for some ways to increase the challenge of your runs? Here are a few easy ways to increase the difficulty of the game. Add one or more of these to your adventure. These are especially useful to use on your second or third runs into the dungeon. Heavy burden. Everything is a bit heavier now. Reduce your encumbrance by 2, meaning your encumbrance stat, which is the maximum amount that you can carry. Deadly bosses. Make your boss battle tougher by adding a prefix and a suffix abomination card to your boss encounter. I don't know what that means, but we're going to find out. Slow learner. Learning new skills is not as easy as it was. Learning skills within your skill proficiency now cost 9 experience, and those outside your skill proficiency now cost 12. Oh yeah, you don't have levels. You have to spend your experience on skills and spells in order to learn them and get them added to your loadout. Monster Mayhem. Add triple the dungeon level to all enemies instead of double. This includes all ambushes, skirmishes, and exalted foes. We've also got Unlucky Rolls, Insanity, Rotten Rations, and Venomous Descent. We have a lot of decks of cards to take a look at, so let's get started on that. So this time around, it looks like they opted for a very consistent and very easy way to provide art for all of the card backs. All of the card backs have the same framing, and they only differ from what is through this skull-shaped keyhole. In some cases, like in the case of Quests 1, Quests 2, all the way through Quest 6, we have the same image. It's just the text on the scroll that's different. In fact, it's only the numbers on the edges of the scroll. We have 6 levels worth of quests. Maybe that's what that means. In Ironhelm, trappings were items that your character started with. We have skills, we have incantations, rewards, treasure. I've actually already gone over the list of the different kinds of decks that we will receive in this game by looking at the playmat and reading those off. So we're not going to do that again, but I am going to show you the differences between some of these cards. Well, all of them. We'll take a look at all of them in as much detail as we can. With all of our decks unbagged, we end up with quite a bit, but one of the things I want to get out of the way really quick is we have a character's card for Ironhelm in this box, continuing the tradition that Grey Gnome Games has, and the very smart business move, I might add, of having pieces of a game that you may already have in the other games. I would complain, but all of these games are fun. So by buying another Grey Gnome Games game, you're just increasing the fun by 2. Anyway, we get Grub Rot with this. He has 13 health, 11 energy, 7 encumbrance, 1 ration, 3 gold. He starts with the Raven Staff and Robes, and his skill is Alchemy. He is an agility-based character. Maybe I'll start my next Ironhelm playthrough with this guy. We have a Time Was Your Real Enemy, You Have Failed Your Quest card, which will go here. Destined to be there. Maybe you don't need the card if you have the playmat. And here are the characters with which we can start. Now we have 6 characters, and the opposite side of these cards give us our classes. A character that you choose cannot be the class that is on the opposite side. You'll have to choose your character, then flip all of the other character cards around and choose one of the available classes. So this gives us already, I think, 30 characters. 30 different combinations. That's not all you do for character creation, but that's already a great start. We have the Seldoran, just the lovely Norscan people. They are your warrior archetypes. They'll get a random trinket as their bonus item. The Crowling, the crow people, very cool. The Aquana, a kind of creepy looking fish people, but I shouldn't judge. They're probably very nice. The Kurmori, kind of like dark elves / dark dwarves, kind of a combination between those things. They're probably like vampires. The Norsians, well, okay, here are our north strong-bred allies. Maybe a bit further north. He's kind of cold-looking. And the Yorni. Nice proprietary type names, replacing the dwarf and elf and halfling of previous fare. On the opposite side of the cards, we have the herbalist, and we'll get to what all of these symbols mean shortly, although it probably is worth explaining right away. Let's go ahead and choose the Seldoran, and the opposite of the Seldoran card is Conjurer, so Seldorans cannot be Conjurers. But just take note of all of these symbols. We have some lovely art that displays some of the trinkets that you might find with a Conjurer, not a Seldoran. And then we have all of these stats in these symbols, and then we have 3 more symbols, 3 different things that make each one of these classes unique. The skill proficiency, and the starting trapping. So let's go ahead and choose Savage, which is on the opposite side of the Crawling card, so Crawlings cannot be Savages. The Seldoran has 15 health, and by choosing the Savage class, we add another 7. The Seldoran has 7 energy, or perhaps grit, so by choosing Savage, we add 3 to that. We'll start with 2 gold and 1 ration. These are not things that the race card starts with. To start creating this character, we will set their agility to 2, brawn to 2, and mind to 1. We'll grab a random trinket from the trinkets deck. In fact, we'll go ahead and do that now. The Forgotten Note, the real treasure is friendship. This item has 0 value, but for some reason it brings you peace. You must spend 1 grit to drop the Forgotten Note. You must make room in your inventory to carry this card. That was a terrible first trinket to draw. When you are battling an enemy, you are able to spend energy to increase your roll, or increase the number against your foe. So if you spend 1 energy, you'll be able to add 2. If you spend 2 energy, you can add 5, and if you spend 3 energy, you can add 8. Energy has historically been a precious resource in the Grey Gnome games, so you have to find the right time to use this ability. It can be a lifesaver, but overuse it and you can find yourself low on energy, which can be a death sentence. At any rate, we also have the Bastion, the Ranger, the Scoundrel, and the Herbalist again. Coming full circle to the Conjurer. Those are our 6 character and ability cards. We'll start weaving in and out of looking at the cards and looking at the rules. We have an extremely helpful components page. I think every game ever needs to list the components. Maybe not in an over-exaggerated 2-page, 3-page spread kind of way. This is perfect. The world of Tasnia is on the brink of a dark age. Rumors run wild in the local taverns and inns of dark creatures roaming wild in the world, bolder in their actions than has been seen in decades. Merchant caravans being attacked and robbed, farms on the outskirts of civilization being burned to the ground, and even a handful of clerics being assassinated. You have been asked to meet the Guildhall Elder at the Lonely Troll Inn. This is a recurring location in this universe. She wants you to help investigate the matter in the region. The Guildhall is desperate for new talent, and this is where you come in. Some of the locals have recommended you for the role. It is not clear whether they actually trust you, or if they are only protecting their own hides from having to assist. Time will tell, but in any case, it is a high honor to serve. After a day's travel, you arrive at Lonely Troll Inn. You open the old door and enter the inn. You are wearing only common clothing and carry with you a few coins and some meager items. The locals go silent as you enter and turn their heads to gaze in your direction. After a brief moment, the jolly innkeeper smiles and states that Isnella is waiting in the back room for you. With a healthy level of hesitation, you make your way into the back room. A single dim lantern hangs from the rafters, making the room feel ominous. An elderly woman sits alone, reading through some scrolls and sipping on wine. She holds up a single finger as you enter the room, as if to tell you to hush, as she continues to read. After a long moment, she looks up at you and asks you to have a seat. She brings you up to speed on the current dire situation. She says she has been hiding at the Lonely Troll Inn and running the local guild hall from this back room. Seeming rushed for time, she instructs you to purchase some equipment from the merchant, Kaln, here at the inn. Then she hands you a scroll, giving you instructions to meet up with another operative of the guild hall who will be awaiting your arrival. Looking up at you one last time, she wishes you luck, and then returns to scouring her maps and scrolls. A mixture of pure panic and excitement pours over you as you walk out the door of the inn and into the unknown. So here is the recommended game setup without the help of the playing mats, and it is very helpful to have this setup diagram. We'll shuffle the following decks and place them face down in a row where they will be easily accessible. Rewards, treasure, ingredients, trinkets, encounters, enemies, abominations, and scourges. These decks will be drawn from more often than other decks. Leave space for a discard pile for each of these decks. The following decks do not require being shuffled and can be placed off to the side face down. Bosses, trappings, familiars, incantations, and spells. You will be directed typically during the game to look through one of these decks and select a specific card. Place the 5 level cards in numerical order, with level 1 on top in a place you can easily reach. We're already kind of stretching for that space here. On the bottom of this deck, place the card that reads "Time was your real enemy, you have failed your quest." If you do not defeat the dungeon boss by the end of the 5th level of the dungeon, you lose the game. Use the black side of the level cards for your first quest, that's normal difficulty. If you win and wish to go on a second adventure, use the red side, hardcore difficulty. Now, locate the quest cards. I'm locating them. On the backs of these cards, you will see these phases indicated. Shuffle each of these phases separately and pick one card at random from each phase without looking at it. Now stack these 6 cards in numerical order with phase 1 on top. Flip the top card, revealing the first phase of your quest. Alright, so that's why we have these 6 levels. These are actually phases. And we have a lot of combinations of ways this can go to create our custom narrative quest. Alright, so if we look at the top, quest 1, for the first phase, we have 3 different intros to how our quest can begin. Speak to Zola, speak to Godfrey, and speak to Phaon. Let's read Speak to Godfrey. Your adventure begins with the need to seek out the old monk Godfrey. He is said to know of a location that may be a key to your quest. Rumor has it that there is a small deserted chapel not too far into the Black Mountains. That is the likely place to unite with him. Now, we have these 3 symbols on this card. We won't yet look at what those mean. I have a feeling it's going to be laying out your dungeon cards, which have the halves of those symbols on either side on your track. As you continue to play this game, if it plays enough like Tin Realm, each card that you draw, you will get to choose where to place it. Once you have a card on the track, you can place your next card after you resolve its effects on the track, or perhaps you place and then resolve. But either way, it just so happens that Ambush and Ambush both have a tree and they both have a skull. So the skulls are usually something bad, at least in Tin Realm. I don't know if that's the case here. It seemed that we had 3 good things, 3 ways of traveling through the map if we were able to link up symbols, and we had 1 bad way. And the reason that the bad way is on here is because eventually you'll draw a card. Like if we do this, we're guaranteed to have this symbol, but we now have 2 skull symbols, and if we draw a card that has a skull symbol on both sides, we're kind of boned, so to speak. We have to place it down and suffer the negative effects of having that skull symbol be completed. This is one of the ways that you are pushing your luck in this game. We'll look through the 3 Quest 2 cards, and then we'll look through some of the quests. We'll draw Quest 3 at random, but this is just to show you kind of the general flow. We have Locate the Crypt, Locate the Prison, and Locate the Mines. After being given some direction, you begin to make your way deeper into the dungeon. The crypt you are to discover is said to house some ancient texts that refer to a magical item of great power. You may spend 2 ingredients instead of a Mystic Quest token for this quest. I wonder if these are Mystic Quest tokens that are gained from linking up the symbols during your gameplay. Now, I didn't read the second half of this, but I feel like after you have lined up these 3 tokens, after a bit of turmoil, you finally find Godfrey kneeling before an altar in an old chapel. He seems happy to see a friendly face, and the 2 of you have a long chat over a bowl of stew, gain 1 grit. After your meal and conversation, you know where you must travel to next. You may place 1 trinket at the altar as an offering, and this will gain you 2 health. Oh good, so we would be able to place the real treasure as friendship note. That's great, so don't just drop it anytime. The different combinations of the Mystic Quest tokens, if that's what those are really going to add the sense of mechanical difference in your gameplay versus just the narrative difference. Alright, so we have Quests 3, Find the Cloak. And in this case, the scroll hinted at the location of a powerful cloak that was said to have been stolen from a high priest of the Red Cloth. That is a recurring enemy sect in these games, in this universe. With a new sense of direction, you continue your quest by delving deeper into the dungeon. You may spend 2 health instead of a Mystic Quest token for this quest. So at some point, you'll make it through the 6 phase cards of your quest, and there are 3 Phase 6 cards, and they all refer to bosses. So we have 3 bosses that come with this game, and you could face any of them. The Ash Worm, the Death Warden, and the Heart Thief. If you stick around till the end of the video, I'll show you what those look like. This is kind of one of the lamest ways I've ever had somebody stick around to the end of a video. We're already pretty far into this one. You may track your character stats using either the provided tokens or with tracker cards and cubes. Both options are available, but in the illustration on the previous page, we opted for tracker cards and cubes. In either case, place these items within reach. Once you have created your character, you will know your starting stats. I see, so they actually did give us an option. So we can use the tracking cubes, we can use the tokens, or if you have the character sheets, you can use the character sheets. So that is really cool, having all of those options. And you can basically pack away whatever component you're not going to use, which makes setup for the next game just a tad bit easier. I have done this. I have the Iron Chest, which is a collection of expansions for Iron Helm, but all of that stuff, once you unpackage it, fits in the Iron Helm box. So I have all that gameplay stuff in the box, and anything that's redundant or made obsolete because of upgrades, I have put into the Iron Chest. And the Iron Chest I just use as storage. I keep all that stuff, but I use it as a storage so I can tuck it away. Point is, if I want to play Iron Helm, I only have to open one box and I've got everything, which is how it should be. You should place the two larger dice somewhere easy to grab and the smaller die off to the side, used to track the morale of potential companions. The three smaller blue dice are for tracking your stats, agility, brawn, and mind during play. Ah, that's what those are for. I was wondering why we had agility, brawn, and mind squares and no values in them. I was starting to wonder if I'd have to put like hash marks in them. Additionally, you may stack the quest tokens off to the side where they can be grabbed when needed. Shuffle the dungeon deck and place it face down. Leave room to the left for a discard pile. Leave room to the right for 2 cards for dungeon exploration. Additionally, leave space above the dungeon deck to build a tableau of dungeon cards that have been resolved during play. So this is our dungeon deck. This is something that has been refined and used in many different Grey Gnome games. And we have 4 spots here because this is our discard pile. This is where the fresh deck goes, and this is where our choices go. So you'll flip one card, more than likely, and decide whether you want to resolve the effect on this card, or if you really, really don't like it, draw a second card, and then you have to resolve the effect on the second card. But here's the catch. Every one of these cards has a part 1 and a part 2. You will do the part 1 if you are choosing to go ahead and resolve this card, but if you draw a second card, you're going to do the part 2, and the part 2 is usually like a punishment. It's usually going to be a little bit harder. There are some cards where the part 2 is more beneficial or really of no consequence, but they are fewer than the cards that are more punishing. So that is part 2 of the push your luck. Looks like after you pick a card to resolve, you will then place it on the tableau. Love that. We go through character creation by selecting our race, and I was right, energy is grit in this game. We will select a class that is not on the opposite side of the race card, and we will then select a familiar. You get to look through the familiars and pick one. All right. There are 6 familiars, and eyeball chicken is definitely one of them. So if you love eyeball chicken, well, that's Cockeye. Cockeye's got 3. I'm not quite sure if the stats add to your character or take them away. This -1, what is that? Is that encumbrance? No, that's the starting position on the morality tracker. Okay. Gray hexagon icon indicates your encumbrance. It's the total weight of items you can carry. Each race starts with a bonus item. All characters have 3 stats, agility, brawn, and mind. They're used for many things in the game, including stat checks and bonus combat damage. They're your base stats. However, your familiar will increase 1 stat by 1 point. So Cockeye here will give you a random trapping and +1 to your mind. Whenever your morality moves down on the morality tracker, you'll get a trinket, which means Cockeye here is kind of a bad dude. And yeah, he's got -1 starting on the morality tracker, so he's a little demonic. He's like, I really like you making those poor decisions. Have a shiny. The yellow circle icon indicates your starting gold. You may spend that on trapping cards, or be saved to use it during gameplay. Brown square indicates starting number of rations. The game is very easy to recognize symbols for and learn if you have played the previous games again. You'll deal bonus damage based on how much grit you spend before rolling your attack dice. We covered that on the opposite of the class card, that's this here. You may spend 6 experience points to learn a skill that you are proficient at. Our example character is proficient at brawn-based skills. Where is it? Right here, because of Bastion. They have a skill proficiency of brawn. You may learn skills that you are not proficient at, but they will cost you 10 experience points. Finally, purchase trappings at the inn. Colin has a limited inventory. Shuffle the trappings deck and draw 5 cards. These are available items for sale. Make your final purchases. You are now ready to set out on your journey. So I will show you all of the trappings cards. The battered shield, 2 gold, 2 encumbrance, and this is an offhand piece of equipment. Subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. If an enemy deals more than 5 damage in a single hit, this item is broken and must be discarded. The Bitter Remedy. It costs 1 gold, has 1 encumbrance, and is an accessory. Discard to restore 3 health and 1 grit. Roll d6, and if the result is a 1, gain 1 poison. This is a consumable. The Bronze Helm. 3 gold, 2 encumbrance. This goes on your head. I hope you know that. Subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. Whenever you take fire damage, you must take an additional 1 damage. Presumably because this gets hot, and it stays hot while it's on your head. We have the Crude Sling, which is a 2-handed weapon. You may reroll initiative for combat. If your enemy gets the initiative on the reroll, they add 1 damage to their first attack. The Dull Gladius, the Fur Cloak, Godfrey's Spirits, the Prayer Beads, Murlac's Tonic. Murlac, I'm pretty sure, is a character you can be in Iron Helm. Okay, I'll stop now. Mysterious Key, the Oil of Penitence, the Rusty Dagger, the Spiked Club, the Worn Bedroll, the Spell Tome, and the Worn Staff. These are all items that can be purchased. Let's take a look at the skills and spells. They went somewhere. Where did they go? Oh, they're right here. Skills include Appraise. Time spent on the trade routes and dealing with the merchant caravans has given you a keen eye when placing value on a good. When buying from the merchant or back at the Lonely Troll Inn, you pay 1 less gold for trappings and treasures, 1 gold minimum. When selling ingredients to the merchant or back at the Lonely Troll Inn, they will pay you 1 gold for each ingredient. This is a mind-based skill. Something I wanted to point out that I really love is that every card has a designation at the bottoms. This is skill 11. I'm sure that is Jason Glover's design choice and not something that the game crafter automatically stamps on there. That's really nice. Counter-Strike. Much time spent engaged in combat has taught you ways to take advantage of your foe's weaknesses. If an enemy misses you during combat, you may add 3 damage to your next attack. But there's a prerequisite. You must have the Nimble skill to learn this skill. It's agility-based. Cunning. You are a sponge when it comes to soaking up knowledge and are known to be quite clever. Whenever you are asked to perform a mind check, you may add 1 bonus point to your roll. When at the campsite, you are able to take a special reading action instead of taking another action, and doing so will gain you 1 experience. This is a mind-based skill. We also have Holy Magic, Fire Magic, love these illustrations, Fortitude, Guard, that's awesome, Herbalism, look at that crowling, Ice Magic, Marksman, look at that, you don't see that every day, that's a fish person with a bow, Might, Nimble, Parry, Rage, Shadow, Sixth Sense, Wizardry, and Alchemy. The incantations for this game include Fire Ward, Freeze, Guiding Light, Healing Rain, Ice Arrows, Ice Wall, Magic Lantern, Mending Light, Banish, Blizzard, Faith, and Fireball. Now this is interesting. These are the symbols that I was thinking were the elements or maybe status effects on the character card and character sheets, but here they are present for incantations with our grit costs in the corner. All of them are either a 1 or a 2. I wanted to look at the rest of our familiars. We have here our Fink, and it differs from the Cockeye in that whenever your morality moves down on the morality tracker, you may remove a curse token. The Glider, you'll gain a grit whenever your morality moves down. Howl, the Moon Rabbit, and the One-Eyed Toad. Oh, the poor thing. See, the last 3 differ because they move you up on the morality tracker versus the first 3. We'll go through a few of these dungeon cards. The Altar. Sometimes a sanctuary is found in the least expected place. You kneel at the altar and pray for what? Healing, peace, favor, guidance? These cards you will come across again and again and again. And cards like this one don't really punish you for drawing them second. So that's the gamble. Campsite. This is another one that won't punish you for drawing it no matter if it's your first or second card. Exalted Foe. This card must be resolved if revealed. It doesn't give you the choice. The Mushroom Cave. The Clearing. The Labyrinth. The Archangel. The Merchant. The False Idol. The Treasure Chest. Ambush. Ambush. Skirmish. 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 Clearing and Clearing. It's the skirmings. It's the ambushes and skirmishes that will get you. All in all, the game is more or less weighted in your favor if you play pretty conservatively with your quest deck. What do you want to look at next? Let's look at treasure. Treasure is going to be items like the compass, the flora tome, the frost ring, the hidden stash, the iron helm, the iron sword, the leather armor, the long bow, the magma ring, the mimic, the mossy lantern, the scale armor, the seer's brooch, the shard axe, the spiked mace, the fortified shield, the woodland boots, the amber blade, the arrow trap, the black powder, the bleeding circlet, the blessed tunic, the bone breaker, I'd like to show you the ingredients deck because this is something that was showcased on the Grey Gnome Games blog whenever he was teasing the development of this game. Or not really teasing, he was providing legitimate updates. We have all of these different ingredients. Some of them don't look very savory, some of them are kind of gross. Mermaid's tongue, no! But all of them have these symbols in sets of 3. Now why do you think that is? We also have arrows off to the sides. So before I go over exploration at its core, you will gain ingredient cards throughout your adventure. On their own, ingredients have no power, but they may be combined to create powerful potions. So this is the ingredient name up top, followed by the crafting difficulty. This is a 3-star crafting difficulty item. The more powerful the ingredient, the more difficult it is to craft a potion with. Next, we have the crafting effects. These icons indicate the possible effects you may gain by crafting a potion with a particular ingredient. Then we have risk and reward. There's a risk associated with each ingredient that you may suffer if you fail at crafting a potion with it. There is also a reward that you may gain if you happen to craft an exquisite variant of a potion with it. Once you have 2 ingredients, you may attempt to craft a potion with them. Place both cards side by side so that the red arrows line up with each other. You are looking for icons to match in a row across both cards. So if you are doing the Dusk Beetle and Cavern Zolia, we have these arrows matching up and we have a total of 5 cards. We also have 5 hearts. We also have 1 mushroom icon. So a total of 2 mushroom icons. That is actually a ration. So each icon offers you a particular effect. We'll just go straight to the manual for that instead of me trying to dunder my way around it. Hearts are health. Each heart icon will heal your character for 1 health. Grit, each purple icon restores 1 grit to your character. Poison, each drop icon will remove 1 poison from your character. Bless, each cross will remove 1 curse from your character. And ration, each mushroom icon will gain your character 1 ration. If none of the icons match up across both cards, you may shift one of the cards up or down in an attempt to get a row of matching icons. Every space you shift the card increases the difficulty to craft the potion by 1 point. So if both of the cards start out like this, and then I have to push up on this card to get those hearts and the ration, that increases the difficulty of this potion crafting by 1 point. If by chance multiple rows have matching icons, you must choose which row of icons you want to use. Darn it, you cannot gain the effects of icons for more than 1 row, so we can either have 2 rations or 5 health from this combination. We add up all the white star icons in the top left corner of both cards. So the sum in this case is 6. We did have to shift one of the cards, so it's actually going to be 7. Crafting the potion is simple. Just roll d6 and add your mind stat to the result. If the sum is equal to or greater than the crafting difficulty, you successfully make the potion and immediately gain 4 health, or in this case 5 health. I was reading the example, sorry. So if I have a mind of 3 and I think I need to gamble and try to make this potion and I want to do this row with the hearts because I'm running really low on health, I'll just go ahead and roll. Oh god, okay, so I would have failed that. So I would have lost 2 health, or would I have gained a poison? Select one of the cards at random, then suffer the risk indicated on that card. So I guess I'd flip a coin. If you ever roll a 6 when attempting to craft a potion, you automatically succeed, and you create an exquisite version of the potion. You gain the regular effect, but also may choose any of the rewards shown on one of the cards used. There are 3 pages dedicated to explaining the potion crafting mechanics, but we'll stop here, because I think we more or less get it, right guys? Trinkets include the ivory comb, the loose pearls, the green marble, the purple marble, the raw amber, romantic poems, rusty key, scrimshaw, the wand shaft. So there are numerous benefits and effects to having each of these different cards. The wooden dice, for example, you may discard the wooden dice in order to re-roll initiative in combat. The amethyst, you may discard an amethyst to add 2 ice damage to a single attack. Also, item 1 out of 2 required to create the ice wand reward card. The carved gnome, you may trade this card with Calm back at the Lonely Troll Inn. He will present you with 3 random treasure cards, and you may trade this card for one of them. Just nice items to have. What if we look at the rewards deck? Looks like these are going to include items that we will be crafting from the ingredients deck. The conch shell, once per German accent, once per dungeon level, you may automatically pass a skill check. Borko, wait, what? Borko is a reward? Well, Borko is a companion. Add 1 to all brawn checks when resolving an encounter. Borko loses 1 morale each time you resolve the false idol dungeon card. He counts as a trinket? Okay. The Crimson Cloak. Whenever you beg at the false idol, you may reactivate a spent incantation. Druid's Rings. Idis. Now, I remember Idis. She was a companion, I believe, in Iron Helm. I said I would stop. The Fire Wand. This is one of the things you can create. This adds 2 attack damage to all successful attacks against enemies weak to fire, and so on. By the way, I have seen a ton of text. I have not seen any formatting or typos or any issues of any kind. And if a small indie developer can accomplish that across all of this work, not that I've checked over everything with a fine-tooth comb, then yeah, so can a big studio. So I will never hear the excuse that, oh, there's so much text, there's bound to be errors. No, you can do better. With your character created, you are now ready to begin your epic adventure. UnderQuest is played in rounds called levels, which represent areas of the dungeon you are exploring. Each level is made up of 9 turns. The end of the level is triggered when you resolve the 9th turn. The reason for this is there are 18 dungeon cards, and you will be picking 1 out of 2 dungeon cards every time you draw 1 or 2. So you'll eventually get to the bottom of the deck, and that will be after 9 turns. So incidentally, there's going to be space for 9 cards on this track. Draw 2 cards from the dungeon deck, keeping them face down. Reveal 1 of the 2 dungeon cards by flipping it face up and reading it. Choose to resolve the revealed card and discard the other without looking at it, or discard the revealed card face down, forming a discard pile, then reveal and resolve the second dungeon card. There are 2 basic types of dungeon cards in UnderQuest. Type 1 is straightforward. It presents you with a narrative, and you must either choose an option or perform an action. Type 2 will have you resolve an action based on whether you picked this card as the first card revealed or the second. We did kind of go over that. During each turn, 1 dungeon card will be resolved, and 1 will be discarded face down into a discard pile. The first dungeon card that you resolve at the beginning of the level will be placed face up to create a tableau. Each subsequent dungeon card you resolve must be added to the tableau by placing it on either the left or right side of the cards currently in the tableau. Every dungeon card has half of a quest token icon on each side. Whenever you place a card to the tableau and the quest icon matches, you gain that particular quest token. If they do not match, you simply gain no quest token. In the example above, we have just completed the 5th turn of the level. Now we must place the resolved dungeon card to either the left or right side of the tableau. If we place it on the left side, we will match both parts of a mystic quest icon, which is a potion, as you can see here, and will gain a mystic quest token. If we place it to the right, we will match both parts of a nature quest token, or tree. Ah, I see. So that's nature and that's mystic quest. Gotcha. And we will gain a nature quest token. As you can see in the example, the icons do not have to match in order for you to place a card to a tableau. Between the clearing and the skirmish, and between the false idol and the ambush, it don't match. Yeah, that's correct. Those do not match. Gaining quest tokens is how you will resolve the quest deck. The current active quest card will indicate which quest tokens are needed to be spent in order to resolve that particular card. You may also discard a quest token at any time to gain 1 experience. The end of the level is triggered once you have resolved the last set of cards in the dungeon deck, 9 total turns. You must then do the following in order. Shuffle the dungeon deck and place it face down to set up the next level of the dungeon. Feed your character by discarding 1 ration, gain 1 health and 1 grit. If you don't have a ration to spend, you must lower your health by 3. This could spell defeat, so make sure you have rations at all times. You must also feed your companion, not familiar, if you have one. They require 1 ration, and if you cannot feed them, they will automatically leave, discard their card. For every 2 poison you currently have, you gain an additional 1 poison. If at any point your poison level is equal to or greater than your health level, you instantly die. Discard the top level tracker card to reveal the next level tracker card. These cards should be in numerical order. If you have not defeated the final boss by the end of the 5th level, you automatically lose the game. I don't know what the types on here are doing for us just yet. Then I was right about we need to get these quest tokens in order to resolve each of the quests that we flip over. In order to resolve the quest card, you will need to spend or discard quest tokens that match the ones shown. Doing this allows you to read and resolve the bottom portion of the card. Now discard and reveal the next card in the quest deck. You'll continue this process throughout gameplay until you resolve the final quest card, defeat the boss enemy, and win the game, or die trying. I'm not really sure what I was counting there. Whenever to resolve a clearing dungeon card, you'll be asked to draw and resolve an encounter card. I'm okay looking at the encounter cards, and a few of these other cards before we go away. You are struck by an eerie silence as you stumble into the clearing. A blinding darkness quickly envelops you. You are deaf and blinded. You realize that wizardry is at play. Now, the clearing card used to famously be a safe place. It looks like it is no longer going to be safe. Nice, we can run into a mermaid. Old bridge, pendulum trap. Pigman! The Pigman is trapped! We can save him or we can cook him, as is a standard fare in these games. The Cave Fox. The Portcullis. The Riddle Rock. Nice. The The Rising Waters, the Sortab, Batros backwards. The Talking Dead. Is this the one that... Yes, that's it, the Talking Dead. Someone whispering to themselves as you enter the room. You see an animated skeleton laying on a dining room table, holding on to an empty glass. This wine is so sweet, and it calms my dry throat. The skeleton looks your way. You must be looking for the unicorn? Ha! She left long ago. You may attempt to decipher the skeleton's cryptic riddle. Make a mind check. If you fail, gain 1 curse token. The Sarcophagus. The Toad Priest. Under pressure. Will the Wisp of the all-seeing eye. Batros. Oh, that's Batros. That's the evil Sortab. Ziggy Star Fox. Oh boy. Bog of Eyes. I love that. Cow. Just cow. You can milk the cow, or you can charm the cow. I don't like that. Hallowed Armory. Mizlak the Beggar. Delirious Recluse. Fire Trap. Fruit Tree. Gibbering Fool. Gibbering. And Frost Trap. Let's take a look at some of the enemies. I really wanted to show you the monsters way earlier, but we have the Goblin. We have the Kafer. We have the Orc, a pigman in this game. We have the Serpent, the Shade, the Skelepede, returning enemies, the Skeleton, the Spider, the Fishman, the Troll, the White, the Wolf, the Woodhag, the Wraith, the Malachor, the Consuming Mass, this is an oldie right here, the Doom Skull, another oldie, and the Flyclops. Ah man, I love them. Where is Zogar? Zogar is not a boss in this game. We're going to look at the Scourges and the Abominations before we do anything else. The Abominations have prefixes and suffixes. So we have the Sinful and the Of Jowl. So you could easily have a Sinful Flyclops. If a sinful enemy successfully hits in combat, there's a chance you may have to lower your morality. Perform a mind check, and if you failed, you must lower your morality 1 space on the morality tracker. If a sinful enemy misses in combat, you gain 2 health. If you defeat this enemy, you may move 1 space on the morality tracker up. We could have like 2 suffixes, or 1 suffix, 1 prefix, and then bam, we have the Sinful Flyclops of Galnock. We can easily switch this up and have the Unholy Flyclops of Jowl. This is a great system in order to introduce these enhanced enemies into the game, and there are all kinds of different cards for these abominations. What are Scourges? Corrupt, Enfeeblement, Gluttony, Plagued, Righteous, Amnesia, love that picture, and Cocksure. Your confidence has soared to new heights. You feel invincible, your eyes wide, you continue forward with a hunger for conflict. These are not good things to happen to your character. A lot of this stuff feels like again, and I apologize, Iron Helm, but with several of the things from its expansions. So this is a more complete feeling game, but Jason did say over at Green Gnome Games that he was going to be planning expansions and more content for this. So that's why I said at the beginning of this video that it's the flagship game. But that, more or less, in a gigantic nutshell, is UnderQuest, and I really was looking to experiencing this and playing it, so I can't wait to get it set up and start playing it after I get a couple of other games off my plate. Games that you'll be seeing here on the channel very soon in terms of how did my playthroughs go, will I be keeping them, what's my overall review 6 months and a year later. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Please comment whatever you like down below. Were you looking forward to this? Did you know about it? Are you excited to try it out now? I got it during crowd sale, and you can certainly wait for crowd sale again, but it should be, I believe, worth full price. This is just beautiful, handcrafted. This is lovely. The art and the arrangement of everything, handcrafted, printed to order. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your day, and onward for now.